take you out. Buy you new appliances. I wanna take you out. Better on my sciences. I wanna take you out. I wanna meet you here. I wanna take you home. Tell me where it is. I go back when I wanna. Don't they ask no question. Me and you forever, baby. You're my baby. I love you, baby. I wanna take you out and just forget that. I love you. It's not in heaven, said. I wanna have you ever, baby, baby, be together. I wanna have you ever, baby, baby, be together. I wanna be with you together, baby, you and me.
Hello and good evening to all of my fellow race fans and backseat drivers out there in TV land. Welcome to the season finale of our 12th season. I think it is season 12. Anyways, we're wrapping the season up at Bathurst. As you can see, Kevin Sandiego just finishing his outlap, doing a flyer at the moment. We got a nice little grid of about 19 drivers out there. Most have taken to the track for our 10 minutes of solo qualifying. Only a couple laps will be performed out there since this is such a long track. Let's take a quick look at it if we can. With our lovely, beautiful software, and get rid of these logos. Thank you all for joining us for our season finale of the fixed Lambo series. GT racing, as we like to do at Apex this. And this 3.8 mile circuit track temp is 92 out there. Air temp of 74, a little gusty of 16 miles an hour. As Kevin is climbing the mountain and about to come back down. Let's go on board with him. Greg Green with a good clean exit onto the back straight. Everybody right in that area. Greg Tasso's climbing the mountain now. And how important it is to have no slip-ups on these cold tires. You do get a little bit longer outlap to make that matter a little bit less, but make sure you have no mistakes out there. Kevin Sandiego with a 2:03.8. It sounded almost like a little kiss to the wall there for Greg. Hard to say. 2:03.8 the time to beat, and it was good to see everybody within a few seconds of each other. Justin Barrero is going to slide into second place there, followed by Craig Ream and Kent Kruger making up the top four. The four drivers who have finished a lap. Bjorn coming through the final chicane now. Taking it very sensible, no reason to ruin a 2-minute lap now. Steve Zeropo is going to slot onto the second row. Bjorn's doing a 2:05.9, puts him 2 seconds off of the leaders. Oh, not him. Danny Mulligan is going to come across the line with a 2:11. That sees him down in 7th. Tony going for a hot lap here, I think. Yes, he is as he starts his climb. Russell and Stan coming through the final corners. Kent having an off track somewhere out there on this lap. Right at the end too. And that's just what we were talking about, not putting it wrong right at the end after putting a good lap together. And maybe that was an outlap for Stan as he's not able to put a time on the board. And Darren Dean into T1. That is not the way to do it. Hitting both sides of the track. And we see Danny Mulligan stuck in the wall. That is not the way to do it. And Russell into the wall. Everybody pushing a little bit harder on those second laps, I suppose. But the mountain is very unforgiving. Steve Zirapo unable to better that first time. He really had a slow lap out there. And this will be his final run with 2.5 on the board remaining. Tony is taking it super easy and chill out there. I respect that. Stan trying again here. And a whopping 10 drivers for the Lambo Sunday Series have set some times. Stan, of course, going to have to park it with less than 1:30 remaining. He's on to the second row, though, pushing Steve Zirapo down. But here he comes charging. He's not having his best lap, to be honest, though. No green sectors for him, and he's going to have to improve by at least a 10th. Really just soaring through the final chicane. And I don't think this is going to be good enough to do anything about it. Actually is barely a better time for him by a couple 100ths, I suppose. Tony Phillips. Little tap for Tony there, coming down the mountain. And that is going to do it for our 10 minutes of solo qualifying. Let's take another peek over at the track temp, rising up to 98 degrees out there. Wind has chilled out a little bit, but do not forget about that 10X. Will get you a trip to the pits, although if you're getting 10X around here, you're probably going to the pits anyways, let's be honest. But 44% fuel limit. Have some fuel stops about 25 minutes into the race. Expect everybody to come in together, as it is such a long lap. Running down that grid, that's Kevin Sandiego on pole position. Surprise, surprise. Then we have Justin Barrero lining up next to him. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to reorganize some things. All right, there we go. And then we got Greg Tassos And Stan Hammond's bumping out Steve Zierpo from the second row. Steve is lined up next to Craig, and then we got Bjorn, Kent Kruger, Russell Elizondo, and Danny Mulligan wrapping up the top 10. And then we have a whole list of drivers who will be joining us. Hopefully we get Brian DeVries out there. That would be nice. See the old back to front challenge once again. So under 30 minutes before we get rolling, this car is sitting on the back straight. And we are all ready to roll here. Looks like 12 drivers joining us. Kelly joining us a little bit late, having to start from the pits here. And the pace car is in. All eyes on Kevin Sandiego. Justin actually leaving him a generous amount of space there as he punches it. He's really going to be trying to cover off from Stan Hammonds, but it looks like perhaps not. I might have thought Steve Zierpo slipping to the inside and getting third place from Stan. Sorry, that was Greg Tassos. They're in the same Oreo cars. And so your top 8 drivers from the grid as they were, and then you see Tony Phillips jumping up 3 places right from the start. And then Craig Ream having a crash out there, getting passed by a whole mess of drivers as we head down the mountain. And if you're gonna have a crash, that's not the best place to do it at all. And he manages to get his Lamborghini out of the way somehow and is gonna be able to keep going. He's currently just ahead of Kelly Greenhoe at the back of the field, and right into the final corner. Justin is actually right with Craig Ream. I'm sorry, not Craig Ream, Kevin Sandiego, as I was not expecting that. Usually Kevin has a second or so on the pack. I'm usually not commenting on his race at all anymore. I think he's got a good handle on these fixed setups, but then Darren Dean out of the first corner does not. Here's that same battle from the first lap of Ken Kruger and Bjorn Benches. And Russell now going door to door with Bjorn around the outside. Tony Phillips just sitting there waiting for something to pop off and get up a couple more positions. Oh, and Russell getting awfully squirrely. And this is not a good situation here for Tony, and he backs out of it very smartly, as that was not going to end well. Oh, and Russell into the wall. Oh, clashing with Tony. Not really what you want to see. Out there is Justin has taken the lead from Kevin Sandiego. We're going to check that out in just a second, but here comes Kevin back for it. Greg Tassos on Stan Hammonds. They are door to door. And Kevin just edging him out. Just getting the lead by inches there, and we have the top four under a second here. Really great racing from these four, and then, you know, Steve Zirpo only a second behind them. Just waiting for anything to happen for these guys. And Steve actually with the quickest lap of the race by a considerable margin. And he is now included in this pack of cars. And Mount Panorama really providing here, as this is the sort of racing that I was expecting to see from the fixed Lambo series. This is what I think it could be on a regular basis. And Stan actually now up to second place, passing Justin. But truth be told, just as I said that, they sort of spread out a little bit. But Stan having an awesome race out there, up 2 spots, having a shout at the lead. And Kevin Sandiego really putting in a great lap there with a little bit of clean air. And here he goes with his 1 second lead, but these long straights might just start bringing Stan back into contention. Tony still right on the bumper of Bjorn, trying to make that move happen as Kent Kruger's able to scoot down the road. So Tony able to stay with Bjorn, but no other battle really happening except for maybe Steve Zirapo under a second here with Greg Tassos behind him. And then the battle for the lead is going to need a little bit of drama. So we've lost old poor Kelly Greenhoe having an earlier spin there, and then one down the mountain. You can't blame him for retiring the car. Russell Elizondo having a little bit of an issue with coming down the mountain. Trying to push out there. Danny Mulligan first into the pits, 12 minutes gone. Wonder what has happened there. Something has happened to Kent Kruger as he's lost a couple seconds here to Bjorn. this league is the most illiterate league in the whole world. Nobody can read that wing, Ken. I'm so sorry. Everyone passing in crazy zones. It's not like there are mile-long straights here. Tony's showing some real poise and pace today. Obviously up 6 positions, but yeah, he seems really in control today as he was just 1.7 behind Bjorn. He's knocked it down to under a second. Really nice drive from him. He's obviously pushing pretty hard to get back in that draft and try to stay with Bjorn. Get those fuel savings and beat him in the pit stops. Kevin Sandiego with a little bit of a ragged lap there. Stan Hedman's taking 7 tenths out of that lead. Still sitting at 2.1. It's still pretty comfortable out of the draft. Justin may be feeling a little bit of heat for that final podium spot. Steve is starting to close down a little bit and leave Greg behind. Not able to stay in that draft and losing a lot of time on the straight there. Just lost about 4 or 5 tenths. I guess Steve was closer to Justin, just sort of got sucked in faster, leaving Greg behind. "20 minutes on the board, pretty much. Tony is going to go right into the pits after working so hard to catch Bjorn. Shouldn't be too much traffic for him coming out. Greg is starting to close on Bjorn himself. Should be up to the back of him in just a moment, but elects to go into the pits instead. 21 minutes on the board. These guys are being a little bit early with it. Tony, post pits, has plenty of clean air. Greg comes out conveniently, actually, a little bit, about a second closer to Tony when Tony first went in. So Craig had a great lap there, making time on the both of them, and now in that draft, sort of falling out of it there as he gets to terms with a little bit more weight on those tires. Kevin Sandiego's lead down to a second after Stam is just having a great race out there. So finally, making it by Tony Phillips. Very awkward pass there, as we have the leaders going into the pit lane. Oh, goodness gracious, as Tony Phillips goes into the wall. He's going to make it by easily. And I do appreciate everybody working with us. Sorry if the stream is a little bit off this evening. Things are a little bit glitchy out there. It's working as well as getting a new place for all the kids. Have their own place, own rooms. I'm telling you, they don't even want them. So yeah, good times. As the leaders come out, Stan is well under a second and well in that trap. And we are going to have a shootout for the final 14 minutes if Stan can keep this up. Bjorn and Kent is going to follow him in as well. Greg Tasso still on Justin's bumper now that Steve Zierbo has actually gotten past. And that was the moment it was done. And he just left them behind. Let's check out what those pit times were. Steve Zierbo, nothing out of the ordinary with a 13.7 stand. Hammonds with a little off track there. He's going to lose time. Let's see what he did. He just went wide, trying to push behind Kevin and having a little bit more weight in the car. Caught him out. Still about in a second. Get that draft coming down the back straight. Ken Kruger and Russell Elizondo doing a 12 flat in the pits. Maybe they got a lot of draft going on early in the race to justify it. Stand back under a second. Stan able to maintain that half a second gap through the slower mountainous section. Stan doing a terrific job here to force Kevin into some awkward lines to not get the best exit onto the straights. Stan braking a little bit too soon for that first corner, but he picked the throttle up nicely and took all the track. very interesting to watch Stan coming down the mountain, or that little really tight left-hander that you've got to nail. And it's got that little drop off there where we saw Russell Elizondo spin a couple times. It's funny watching Kevin do it and sort of go off a little bit straighter off that little almost drop off and then get the car turned, and Stan working so hard to turn the car and almost go off of it sideways and have the car catch itself, having already turned left. And that exit is much better from Stan. He could have a run for the lead at the end of the front straight. He goes for a little bump on the back of Kevin, just to spice things up in the final 8 minutes. The key to having a good broadcast is Stan Hammonds. And a little bit further back, it would be a foul, not to mention Greg Tassos. Still on the back of Justin. That gap has fluctuated a little bit more. They are just behind Steve Zeropo, who's lost a little bit of time to them in the closing stages after the pit stops. And 6 minutes remaining on the board, waiting for Stan Hammonds. So maybe think about having a charge. Maybe he's thinking about saving that opportunity right to the end. If not, forcing Kevin into a mistake on this treacherous terrain. And from second on the grid, Justin is down to fifth. Probably without a shot at the podium. Under 4 minutes to race. Should have 2 more race laps or thereabouts. We'll see. And that should be about right. Coming up on the back of Russell Elizondo, who's 5 seconds ahead. We'll see when that traffic, or if that traffic comes into play. Oh, and Stan is going to spin it right at the death, trying to get a good exit for the final lap as he does not receive the white flag, but it should be the white flag. So there ain't going to be no more race time when we get back. And how disappointing is that we are not going to have a final lap race in the desert, battle in the desert, whatever they call it. That's a bummer. Still, good points won. Great drive from Stan Hammonds this evening, irregardless. This little battle starting to heat up as Greg is pushing down the mountain, trying to get close to Steve Zirapo right at the death. And they're lapping Russell Elizondo at the same time. He pulls over and lets them all through. Oh goodness, and it's going to be so close. And if Kevin just stomps on the brakes, it is the white flag. Amazing. I could have sworn it went to 40, but we have one more lap. Who knew? I'm sure Greg Tassos is very happy to see the white flag this go round. And that was Bjorn Benches taking us home for the season across the line. Thank you so much, Bjorn. We are going to run down your race results as Craig Ream takes us down the hill one final time. That's Kevin Sandiego with yet another win this season in the Lambo class, followed by Stan Hammonds with a heroic drive, Steer Zero Pro with the top 3 spots, followed by Greg Tassos, Justin Dive Bomb Barrero, Craig Ream, Bjorn Benches, Ken Kruger, Russell Elizondo. It's the last driver to finish with a considerable, without a considerable amount of laps behind the leader. And Tony Phillips there, actually way down the order. Did I miss what had happened to him? Let's check out a couple of the things that happened here. Russell having more issues with this turn, doing a carbon copy of what he did earlier. Let's check out with Kent. Going into the final chicane.